Silent Watchers. The Vex Dominion had conquered 17 star systems in less than a century. Their warships, massive constructs of dark metal and pulsing energy fields, had become symbols of inevitable defeat across the galactic arm. Resistance was futile. This was the first lesson taught to newly subjugated worlds. The second was obedience. Supreme Commander Valis stood on the observation deck of the flagship Indomitable, his tall, angular frame silhouetted against the backdrop of stars. His scaled skin shimmered with a metallic blue-green iridescence under the soft lighting. Six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic display of a small blue planet. Earth, he said, the word strange on his forked tongue. Unaligned, technologically developing. Population approximately 8 billion. Assessment. Science Director Nera moved forward, her more slender form casting a long shadow across the deck. Primitive, Commander. They managed rudimentary space travel within their own system. A small station in orbit, a base on their moon, initial colonization attempts on their neighboring planet. Their energy production relies heavily on fossil fuels and basic nuclear fission. Military capabilities. Nera's upper eyelids flickered, the Vex equivalent of dismissive amusement. Nuclear weapons, kinetic projectiles, chemical propellants. Nothing that could threaten our ships. They have no unified planetary defense system. Their nations remain divided, often in conflict with one another. Valis nodded, satisfaction evident in the slow pulse of color that rippled across his neck scales. Excellent. Another easy acquisition for the Dominion. Prepare the contact protocols. I want a diplomatic vessel ready within 2 cycles. Behind him, strategic analyst Krell cleared his throat softly. Unlike most of the command staff, Krell was known for his caution, a trait that had saved the Dominion fleet on more than one occasion. Commander, there is something unusual about this species, Krell said. Valis turned, his vertical pupils narrowing slightly. Explain. Their technological development is uneven. Most species we've encountered develop in predictable patterns. Space travel coincides with energy weapons. Unified planetary governance precedes interplanetary colonization. These humans are different. They lack faster-than-light travel but have sophisticated information systems. Their medical technology has eradicated diseases that plagued them for millennia, yet they still burn hydrocarbons for energy. Interesting, but irrelevant, Valis replied. Their uneven development makes them weaker, not stronger. They'll be grateful for our guidance once they understand the benefits of Dominion rule. Krell's scales darkened slightly, a sign of concern. Sir, our long-range observers have noted high levels of encrypted communications we cannot decipher. The pattern suggests. Your concern is noted, Analyst Krell. Valis interrupted. But a primitive world with internal encryption is hardly cause for alarm. Prepare the diplomatic team. Standard protocol. Offer them the choice between peaceful submission or forceful integration. The diplomatic vessel departed the following cycle, a sleek craft designed to impress primitive species with its silent approach and gleaming exterior. Ambassador Thela, chosen for her experience with technologically developing worlds, led the mission. The craft descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing on a broad field outside the headquarters of their global diplomatic body, the United Nations. News of the alien arrival spread across Earth's information networks within minutes. Panic, awe, and fear rippled through human populations worldwide. Emergency sessions convened in governmental chambers. Military forces went to high alert status. Inside the United Nations building, representatives from Earth's nations gathered in tense silence as Ambassador Thela entered, flanked by her security detail. She was an imposing figure, 7 feet tall with luminescent scales and eyes that reflected light like polished gemstones. People of Earth, Thela began, her translator converting her sibilant speech into multiple human languages simultaneously. I come representing the Vex Dominion, the preeminent power in this galactic sector. Your world has been cataloged and assessed. You stand at a crossroads of history. The hall remained silent as she continued. The Dominion offers you integration into our empire. Provide resources, accept our governance, and we will elevate your civilization. Resist, and we will take what we need regardless. Your current technological level cannot oppose us. This is not a negotiation. It is the natural order of the universe. For several long moments, no one spoke. Then a woman rose from among Earth's representatives, Dr. Eleanor Chen, director of the Global Science Initiative. She was small compared to the towering alien, her simple gray suit a stark contrast to the ambassador's ornate scaled armor. Ambassador Thela, Dr. Chen said, her voice calm and measured. We appreciate your directness. Earth will need time to consider your proposition. In the meantime, please accept this as a token of our respect. She approached the alien delegation and presented a small spherical device, a metallic orb with subtle patterns etched across its surface. It appeared primitive, almost decorative. Ambassador Thela took the sphere, unable to hide her disdain. What is this trinket? Information, Dr. Chen replied simply. Data we believe the Dominion should review before further decisions are made. A gesture of goodwill between our civilizations. The ambassador's scales rippled with amusement. Very well. I will allow your leaders 3 of your Earth days to formalize your surrender. We are not unreasonable. With that, the Vex delegation departed, the sphere tucked away as an afterthought. Back on the Indomitable, Vex technicians examined the human device. It resisted initial scanning attempts, its composition seemingly simple yet somehow resistant to their standard analytical procedures. Primitive encryption, muttered Chief Technician Zor, his frustration evident in the rapid darkening and lightening of his neck scales, but unusually complex for their technological level. When they finally accessed the sphere's contents, confusion spread through the technical team. They immediately alerted Commander Vallis. This cannot be accurate, Vallis said, studying the data displays with narrowed eyes. The sphere contained detailed schematics of every major Vex warship class, highlighting structural vulnerabilities, shield frequencies, and weapons systems. There were analyses of Vex tactical protocols, communication encryption methods, and navigational algorithms. Information that should have been impossible for a non-spacefaring civilization to possess. Along with the technical data was a simple message. We have been observing the Vex Dominion for 73 years. We choose to remain independent. Leave our system now. This is your only warning. How could they have obtained this information? Vallis demanded, his scales flushing dark with anger. Strategic analyst Krell studied the data with growing alarm. Commander, the detail here. They would need to have infiltrated our systems decades ago, before we even knew of their existence. Impossible, Vallis snapped. They're bluffing. Using fragments of data perhaps obtained from some derelict scout ship or intercepted communication. They're trying to deter us with knowledge they barely understand. Science Director Nera's voice was hesitant. Sir, some of this information, the shield harmonics for the new destroyer class, the fold space calculations for our latest engines, these are our most closely guarded secrets. Vallis stared at the sphere, then crushed it in his powerful hand. They have information, nothing more. Information without power is meaningless. They lack the technology to threaten the Dominion fleet. He turned to his command staff, his decision made. Prepare all ships for combat deployment. We will take this world by force and find the source of this leak. No more diplomatic gestures. Within hours, 500 Vex warships began moving toward Earth, their massive engines glowing against the blackness of space. Part 2. The Awakening. The Vex invasion fleet entered the Sol system with overwhelming confidence. They bypassed the outer planets, sensors detecting nothing more threatening than automated research probes and small mining operations. Earth's defenses, as observed by their scouts, were pathetic. A handful of orbital platforms, some short-range spacecraft, and ground-based missile systems. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Commander Vallis watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The blue planet grew larger on the main view screen, peaceful and seemingly defenseless. Final approach vector confirmed, reported his navigation officer. Earth's primitive detection systems have only just registered our presence. Their communications channels are flooded with panic. Send the ultimatum, Valis ordered. They have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally, or we begin orbital bombardment. The message was broadcast globally across Earth's communication networks, on screens worldwide. Humans watched as Commander Valis delivered his threat personally. People of Earth, he said, his scaled face filling screens from Tokyo to New York, your deception has failed. Your data sphere changes nothing. Submit to the Dominion or be destroyed. In a hardened facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Chen watched the message with the Unified Earth Defense Council. Her expression remained calm despite the threat. They didn't listen, she said quietly. They never do, replied General Ahmed, her military counterpart. Authorization to activate. Dr. Chen nodded. Full implementation. Authorization, Chen Omega 417. Throughout the solar system, something awakened. The Vex fleet detected nothing as they continued their approach toward Earth. Their sensors, scanning for conventional weapons and energy signatures, found only what they expected: the primitive defenses of a developing world. They didn't detect the quantum entanglement networks hidden throughout the system. They couldn't see the thousands of platforms disguised as ordinary asteroids or the nanofabrication facilities buried deep within moons and planetoids. For decades, humanity had been preparing, building its defenses in ways specifically designed to be invisible to Vex technology. The first sign of trouble came as the fleet passed the orbit of Mars. "Commander," called the sensor officer, her scales paling with confusion, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the asteroid belt." "Specify," Valis ordered. "Unknown, sir. The signature doesn't match any known." The officer never finished her sentence. Throughout the Vex fleet, alarms suddenly blared as strange energy patterns appeared all around them. The first strike wasn't aimed at weapons, shields, or life support. Instead, precisely calibrated quantum beams targeted the Vex ship's navigation systems. The beams passed through shields as if they weren't there, temporarily disrupting the quantum processors that coordinated fleet movements. "We've lost navigational control on 30% of the fleet," reported the tactical officer, panic evident in her voice. "Ships are drifting out of formation." "Impossible," Valis shouted. "Their weapons can't penetrate our shields." Before anyone could respond, a second wave struck. This time, microscopic machines, deployed years earlier through infiltration of Vex supply chains, activated throughout the fleet. These nanites have been specifically engineered to target Vex technology, disrupting communications, weapons control, and life support systems. Screens went dark, weapons powered down. Environmental systems fluctuated. Throughout the fleet, chaos spread as ships lost contact with one another and vital systems failed. In his increasingly isolated command ship, Valis watched his invasion force fall into disarray. "How?" he whispered. "How could they have done this?" As if in answer, every remaining functional screen in the fleet suddenly displayed the same image. Dr. Chen, looking directly at them with calm determination. "Commander Valis," she said, "you were warned. The Silent Defense Protocol is humanity's protective system, developed over generations. We detected your scout ships nearly a century ago and have been preparing ever since." "This is impossible," Valis hissed. "Your technology is not what it appears," Dr. Chen finished for him. "While your species expanded outward, conquering world after world, humanity chose a different path. We mastered quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, and nanotechnology while deliberately maintaining the appearance of a developing civilization." On the tactical display, Valis watched as more of his ships reported critical failures. Not a single shot had been fired in the conventional sense, yet his mighty fleet was being systematically neutralized. "We studied your civilization carefully," Dr. Chen continued. "We learned your language, your technology, your weaknesses. We placed observers on your worlds, built our defenses specifically to counter your weapons. Everything you see around you was designed with one purpose: to protect Earth without destroying life unnecessarily. For the first time in his military career, Valis felt genuine fear. "What are you?" he asked. Dr. Chen's expression softened slightly. "Just humans, Commander. A species that values its independence and has learned through bitter experience to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. We don't want war with the Vex Dominion. We simply want to be left alone." "The Dominion does not allow independence," Valis responded automatically, though his voice lacked conviction. "Then the Dominion must evolve," Dr. Chen replied. "Look around you, Commander. Your fleet is disabled but not destroyed. Your crews are uncomfortable but alive. We could have annihilated your forces completely. Instead, we chose restraint. Consider this demonstration an opportunity for both our civilizations." Throughout the disabled fleet, a new message appeared on all functioning systems: detailed instructions for emergency repairs that would allow the ships to return home, along with navigational data for the quickest route out of the Sol system. "Leave our system now," Dr. Chen said. "Return to your people with this message. Earth is not to be touched. We will defend ourselves if necessary, but we prefer peace. The choice is yours." The transmission ended, leaving Valis staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited in tense silence for his decision. After several long moments, Valis straightened his shoulders. "Prepare all functional ships for withdrawal," he ordered, his voice hollow. "We're leaving the Sol system." "Sir," his second-in-command protested, "we still have ships with partial weapons capability. We cold." "Did you not see what they've already done?" Valis interrupted. "They could have destroyed us completely. Instead, they chose to teach us a lesson." He walked to the viewport and stared at the distant blue planet. It looked so peaceful, so innocent. Who could have imagined the power it concealed? "Send recovery vessels to assist the disabled ships," he ordered. "Those that cannot be recovered must be abandoned. All personnel will be evacuated." As the surviving Vex ships, less than 1/5 of the original invasion force, slowly turned away from Earth, Valis remained at the viewport. The humans had fundamentally changed his understanding of the universe. The damaged Indomitable limped away from the Sol system, carrying with it a message that would shake the foundation of the Vex Dominion. Earth was not what it seemed. Humanity was not just another species to be conquered. They were something new, something different, and they were not to be trifled with.